Good evening, it's 7:01 and let's call this meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. Who do we have on Zoom this evening?
Dan Marshall and David.
Hi, Dan and David, thanks for coming, dialing in. All right, I'm gonna call, as I said, call meeting to order. Let's approve the minutes for January 4th at the Selectmen's Meeting. Anyone have any changes or have a chance to read through the minutes?
I have a question on number 9. It says that Billy Bundle was hired as deputy tax collector, but is that, she's exclusively a tax collector, she's not?
Right now, because she's not ready to take over if she's,
Well, you better plan on not croaking right off.
well, if she's
Don't be
deputy
dead.
town clerk and everything, then she's automatically taken over.
Yeah, that
I'm
would
not
be-
giving her any keys
that-
or.
okay, that would be scary, so good.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to check on that one little detail.
If there's no changes, I make a motion that we accept the minutes from last meeting.
I second you.
All in favor? Excellent. Do you have a copy for us to sign? I'd like to make a motion also to approve warrant 14 and the payroll warrants for January 10th and January 17th, 2024.
Second it.
All in favor? Excellent. All right, RSU 10 report. And I know you sent us an agenda for the school board, upcoming school board meeting. Do we have a rep for our RSU 10?
Chad Kellerton, who is up for re-election this year
Okay.
in June.
Did you send him a copy of the school report, board report also? School
I'm
board
sure he
agenda?
gets it.
Okay.
I'm sure he gets it. He's a director.
He's on the school board after all.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to imagine that he doesn't get them.
All right, so they do have an upcoming meeting. Road report. Now we have a FEMA update.
Yeah, I asked, a representative with FEMA, because people keep asking where we stand, and she responded.
Oh, yeah.
So FEMA
For
lady.
last
I
year.
read that, it's like, okay, they're working on PR 4696 ME for December 22. And we'll be moving over to DR 4719 ME for May of 23. And then there was the one.
And she's the new one, right? Because she wasn't the one that was the original.
No, we had
Mhm.
James and then he left, so we have Jeannie, she's good.
Good.
But they're
Oh.
busy, they have the new storms from
But
this
they
year.
are.
Oh, we've had storms?
And it's like,
Yeah, but they are.
they're working on 22 and early 23. And can you imagine how many FEMA applications they're getting from the coast? And we've all seen pictures of what happened, the damage on the coast. They must be swamped in FEMA.
So if we don't get it before the end of the fiscal year, it will go into that GL account because we've already spent the money. And
That's the way it works.
yeah,
So when it goes into that GL account, that money should go back into where,
we can use it for roads.
right, I was gonna say,
We've already
it
paid
should be
our
roads.
roads.
Go back in to reimburse that. Awesome. Okay, and looking for BIM's road report. Do we have that?
No, I guess not much has been going on.
CEO possible on it.
Yeah.
Kathleen Terrio called today reminding Ben to put a stop sign. She had an incident with a grandson driving in a snowstorm and there was no stop sign at the end of town for him. I'm gonna pass that along. I just got it.
Okay,
And you saw the letters.
Yeah, Mahoney Road still doesn't have a stop sign, but Green Acres Road does.
That don't either. Still ain't put one up.
The Green Acres Road was spoken up.
Oh, you did?
Mahoney Road, when I went a couple, 3 weeks ago, still in town.
so you do understand,
On this
unfortunately,
end, Church Street end?
Yeah.
Church.
this will be like his fourth or fifth stop sign he's put there. People keep stealing them. It's terrible. He just put one there
Stop
last
signs
year.
Popular inside people's garages or something.
I'm just concerned why.
Absolutely. Cause I was even thinking, what if this spring he put
I
a,
do.
he can
sometimes.
put the stop sign up as soon as he can. But, painting STOP or stop ahead on the road just before, cause you can't steal that.
You can't steal that, but at the
You can-
same time, it can be completely obscured by the snow.
Absolutely, it's just,
Grandson is driving in the snow. then
no,
you-
I still suggest a stop sign. I'm just saying that if that stop sign gets stolen again in 2 weeks. In the springtime, when the roads are dry enough, wouldn't it be, it's just an opportunity to, more safety. Yeah,
Incur if you stop signs.
Yeah.
Try to do this.
thanks for coming.
Coming up on it too quick.
Leanne, you mentioned letters.
Right in
Are
here,
there letters in your packet?
I see one letter from,
Julia.
Julia.
From
Okay.
Peggy.
These are my copies, January 3rd. Yeah, I should have put them in your packet, but
Yeah.
if I didn't, there's 3 letters for people who obstructed.
Oh, yes,
No cloud.
yes,
generation.
nice, good work.
Yep. Jordan Way, that's, is that off of Bear Pond? Is that one of those little roads?
Camp Road.
Oh, Camp Road, I knew it was near water. Seeing
And
it.
I'm assuming that Wayne Butler is the actual owner of the property, yeah, okay. That's, yeah, because I know that despite the fact that they put a lot of work into the place, that they didn't actually, that Blue Dogs don't actually own it. Okay, great.
All righty. Constable report, how timely is that? No snow? Did you say you went swimming today?
No.
No
smoking.
slip.
Oh, something today, gotcha. All right, code enforcement, we got that the last meeting, ACO report, which is in here. I had sent an email off to her because we hadn't gotten her report and asked for November and December, and it looks like we got that. Yeah, also,
I didn't share this because it's not really public. You know, complaints. Unless somebody requests to see it, it's not really something you want to stand out.
yeah. So ACO did submit her reports and sign the licensing documentation. So how many more dog licenses do we know that are
The
outstanding?
kennels, I think there's 2
2 more?
who
Okay,
haven't come into license.
okay. And I'm sure you've already contacted them more than once, haven't you?
Letters went out yesterday again.
Thank you. Sorry you have to keep doing that. Okay, planning board report. Would you like to do one orally?
Yes,
Awesome.
okay, we don't have any permits that we've been considering recently, but the reason I wanted to come tonight is over the concern for the LD to Oak Street. Did you go to the meeting today about it in Turner? No?
I didn't.
No.
What?
Leanne printed us a big packet though, which is actually pretty good.
First of all, we can't accept the ACOG documents because we do not have a definition in our designated growth areas as to what lot size we're going to allow. When we did the comprehensive plan in 2008, I have the page here and it states that, we were gonna have areas that were considered under the growth management, law, that we're going to allow medium density residential. This is what it says. These areas would allow residential development on lot sizes smaller than 3 acres. And then it also says on, commercial and medium density residential on lot sizes smaller than 3 acres. But that provision was never enacted anyway in any ordinance, so we can't accept the AvCog stuff because we don't have a definition of what less than 3 acres is. We don't have a lot size to use in those designated growth areas. So we have to somehow determine a lot size first. And that opens up a whole new can of worms because this map that's in the comprehensive plan of the areas that are for designated growth, you see how they're curvilinear, they're curvy lines? Those do not follow the town tax map. So we have to actually go through and figure out which property owners or which lines are going to actually be in those designated areas. And today I went through the tax maps and there's sections of R12 and 10 for the intersection of Main Street and Stetson Street. And on Sumner Road to the Sumner and Buckfield town lines would be parts of R3 and R4. And from Bear Pond Road to Turner Town line would encompass U12, U13, and R1, and Hartford Center is R7 and R4. So it's going to take a group of people to go through and kind of designate those areas. So this is my opinion that we can't just accept the AvCog stuff as it is for the designated growth areas. And I think an easier way to kind of get our way through this would be to do it and then into the building lots to encompass some of these provisions, which is what I had sent you, but then Leanne today told me I was using 2005 instead of 2015, so I can do it again. 2015 and on my computer today, it said 2015, so I don't know which copy I found when I was starting to do the editing because.
I checked the website, the right one's on there, so.
Yeah. So that was my error there, so I guess.
I'm sorry you did all that awesome work and that you need to do it again, but that is so great. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, well, I'm just like that. When I get onto something, I just go, deeper and deeper and deeper. And so that's why I found out how to figure out all these things. And we're kind of behind in doing a comprehensive plan, and that might be an easier way to transition the town into growth areas. It's going to affect a lot of property owners if you suddenly say that the minimum lot size where they are in designated growth areas is going to change. I think it might be easier if we did it gradually through that mechanism than just coming up with something new before town meeting is here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I have to say. And I'll also formally, if you want to designate this project to the planning board versus the ordinance committee.
Definitely.
How else to approach it.
How else, can we just assign that or?
I believe that decision was made in our previous meeting.
No, I asked, but you guys.
We didn't decide.
There was not an actual decision made.
No,
Well, I move we designate the planning board as the ones to work on, LD 2003.
LA 2 and 3.
Yeah, 2003.
Yeah. And I understand there's several
That
of those workshops coming up. There's like
Right,
5 or 6 more.
Yeah, you're gonna have to draw the callus or something now.
Okay, so the law is there's a general definition, then there's a part A and a part B. And the accessory dwelling units only focuses on part B. And I left that meeting a little confused because I heard something about 4 dwelling units on a lot. And that's when I went back and read the law. In fact, so they didn't tell you the whole scope of the law. We have to address the whole scope of the law. So with the designated growth areas, you have to allow 4 units per lot. As I said, we have to decide what the size of those lots are because our comprehensive plan doesn't say that.
And they still have to, even though you designate 4 4 units, they still have to meet all the septic and water codes,
That's-
setbacks and all that
That's
jazz.
be an issue for lots of people to talk about in town, finding out that suddenly the land they own, they could sell off an acre or whatever we decide is
Yeah.
the minimum size to push for.
They can't sell it. They can't sell off an acre, but they can put the buildings on there, right?
No, what we're saying, we haven't changed our zoning to allow less than 3 acres in the designated road areas.
Oh, I thought the law, okay, I misunderstood. I thought
That's
people,
what I'm reading the comprehensive
I
plan.
thought people were allowed to
I
put,
did some research about comprehensive plans because my son-in-law is the assistant, city manager of South Portland. He told me that it doesn't have legal standing once it's no longer in, what about compliance? There was another word.
Non-conforming,
What?
talking about non-conforming?
No, there was another word they used for it, but anyways, it was. Our comprehensive plan has been out of whatever we use the word compliance since 2020, but it is a legal document and somebody could sue you about. Well, I have property that's in a designated road area, because you haven't said what the specifications are, at least the law says I can put this many units in that area. So I think we really have to kind of define things, I mean, I'm just saying.
I think you,
Yeah.
you're saying, I think you're
Mm.
right.
Yeah, I do. Mm.
So.
should work with
And then you
NMH.
can't do the, affordable housing stuff, I mean, that part of the law, until we have this kind of straightened out about the growth areas.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I wasn't a can of worms.
Well, you're not the
It's
one.
a can that had to be open
You
though.
are not the one who opened.
Right.
it. The legislature opened this
Yeah.
can of worms.
Mhm.
We just have to, I don't know, eat them. I don't know, what do we have to do with them? I'm not sure exactly, but we got a can of worms now.
So, I mean, we can do a standalone ordinance for zoning, but I mean.
If you're already working on it, you might as well update it.
That's what
Right.
suggested.
So under subdivisions, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
notify everybody whose property might be involved.
Instead of piecemealing it, to me, it seems, kind of
The building lot standards ordinance.
That.
I know
that
that's what you were
would
looking
cover
at in the
for how
beginning.
many, anybody who comes to the planning board and wants to build something, or to the code enforcement officer who wants to build up a new house, they have to know that they can put 2 living units in it and an accessory one. That's supposed to be done by July 1st this year. That's what I mean. It's kind of,
It's so
so we
exciting.
have to get it accepted. at town
It's so
meeting.
exciting.
What?
It's so exciting.
Yes.
yes.
Was there a second on that motion to?
I second it.
All in favor?
And so how, also, everything between the LD, okay. What is
It's all yours.
And what you asked
Couldn't
for,
happen to, couldn't happen to a better bunch.
Hmm.
right? Ordinance committee, which I know they met earlier this month, but have not met yet. Fire warden report,
December 4th, I think is the meeting.
okay,
Right?
all right.
That's
Treasurer
the one that didn't have a
report.
quorum?
What's that?
Was that the one that didn't have a quorum?
Right,
That's the standard. That is the standard. And,
treasurer's report.
We did get our audit back finally.
We did?
Yes,
So we keep running?
I'm sorry.
Are we all right?
Yeah, I asked them to, if they could come meet with you about the fund balance policy, but I didn't get a response. I'll ask them again. Fund balance went up a little bit. It was 1,332,859 at the end of June. It was 1,403,730.
We continue to do very well on our sweep on our. Yeah,
Way better.
Yeah.
I think I told you I closed out Andrew's dog and finally.
yes,
That's good.
yeah, we're waiting for. No, everything's so dry.
Hmm?
My hands, no tread, everything's so dry. Like, heat.
No kidding, huh?
I received actually, while they're looking through this, going back to the road report, I received quite a few comments, and phone calls and messenger messages about roads not being clear enough when people get up in the morning and that the snow wasn't thrown back far enough. And I knew that our road crew had been out all night from like 8 o'clock the other night, all the way through that morning. Bim sent them home for 2 hours to get some sleep and come back. And so I might not have been as soft and fuzzy when people call, but I'm like, have some patience. These
Mm.
guys have been out a long time. All the trucks are working. Everyone is out. They've been out for hours, so,
Yeah. Everybody wants their road done first.
yeah. Well, they even were disputing the size of the truck. Truck they're using on my road is smaller than the truck they used before.
I heard that complaint too, and you
Yeah.
know,
I said, they're doing the best they can, and
well, on top
that
of
truck works best for that road right now. With the
Well,
heavy
it-
slush and snow.
Pratt Hill Road is of particular concern. Because you can't take a truck of just about any size and start from the bottom and start trying to push all the way up. They
Right,
have to come down first. They have to come down first and then they go out on Berry Road, Mahoney, and they'll come back. They'll widen it out, but they always break it open
right.
so that anybody can get out. But it's not gonna be, you know, it's not gonna be like full scale until they're able to actually get out, because the truck, when it goes down, it can only push.
Yeah.
You can only do one lane.
And
Basically.
Pratt Hill was supposed to be worked on last year, but we had all those rainstorms and many roads that we had to repair.
We had
So
so
people
much.
couldn't even get home, so those roads that were falling apart were a priority and so many hours in the day,
Boy,
so
we had a
Pratt
lot,
Hill's a priority
a
for,
lot of disasters
Yeah.
this past year. And, you know, the thing of it is, when you have a situation like that where people are, trapped at home or can't get home, the first priority of repairing the roads is to get out there and make sure that people can get in and out of their homes. And so that puts off, I mean, Pratt Hill was scheduled to have been paved this past year, but it just didn't happen because
they were repairing
so
other
much else
roads,
took
right?
place.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had a complaint about Pratt Hill with the potholes, but
I
Tim said he
complain, I
tried to
complain
get
all the
some.
time.
right.
I
Oh
don't
my
get it.
gosh, I got several calls, like I
Tim
said.
said he tried to get out there with some stone dust and fill the holes.
I know they graded several times. Let's move on to the cemetery committee report.
Nothing new to report on the meeting Sunday at 9, maybe.
All right. Solid Waste Committee, don't they meet this upcoming week?
Well, I didn't know if you were part of the email chain that went, the email that went out, but Bonnie, canceled. It was just the other night, it canceled solid waste meeting for lack of members. And I don't think they're planning to meet again until such time as there's people who are interested in participating. Because, you know, if she can't get a quorum, what's the point? I mean, I show up to these meetings and we usually have a wonderful chat, but you know.
Right, and you're not getting, well, yeah,
It's not accomplishing the town's business. And it is too bad because, of course, the thing about the solid waste committee, if, you know, they're able to focus on, on their real charge, which is to, try and improve our system to make it easier for people and maybe some educational component, then, one of the things is that solid waste is one of the only places where collectively we all have some control over our costs. Everything else, the costs just keep going up anyway. But in solid waste, I mean, it's directly impacted by how much stuff we throw out.
Exactly. All right, calendar reminders, cemetery committee meeting this Sunday at 9 AM. That's the only calendar reminder we have. Unfinished business, swimming lessons. And Dana Dudley. Do we have any other information on, I didn't get a chance, I didn't say I would, but I want to check with other towns to see where swimming lessons are held. I know they don't do them in Turner. But I know that the Turner people send them to the YW. I don't know where else swimming lessons are, but I'm just trying to get some pricing of what is currently being done for families, so we can cover the costs and all that jazz.
They used to up on the road shore, but I don't think they don't do it no more.
This over now, here's also the animal control before.
If you wanna look through, I don't know if I sent you the swimming lesson information.
I saw some of the emails that you were reading in the town.
Yeah. Yeah, but.
So it's our intention to continue swimming lessons. We would want the rec committee
There's no record.
or excuse me, we would like to still be able to offer under the town swimming lessons, which is a really important life skill. And so,
It's been really important to all of the participants.
absolutely.
I would suggest, I mean, Vivian is perfectly correct, that there is no rec committee. I guess I'd like to suggest that, there may be people in town who would like to actually, be on a rec committee.
We would have to change the ordinance to, because it lists all the committees in the administrative ordinance.
Nonetheless, I think that it might be, there may be some obstacles, but I don't know that they're actual stumbling blocks, and seems to me that if we had some residents who are interested in being on a rec committee, it might not be a bad idea.
Yes, Ken.
Make a suggestion if you want to form a hot and rec committee. That you kind of mirror the cemetery committee, because there again, people that are interested, you allow swimming lessons to be attended to by surrounding communities, allow surrounding community members to be on the rec committee, to have input. And then your financial numbers could be handled by the town.
Right, we want to keep it all under, our umbrella.
It makes sense, because you have a vested interest in being on the rec committee, whether your children are from, Hebron, Buckfield, they go to swimming lessons, so maybe they could be on the rec committee, a hot rec committee.
or even be a part of this swimming lesson project,
But swimming lesson project and propose to the select board.
Right.
That they
Because
needed.
I would like to think that if we had an actual rec committee, that it might, the scope of the rec committee could, I mean, we're talking about starting from scratch here, because we don't have a rec committee anymore. And so we could envision the rec committee to be, well, whatever we wanted. One of the things I always thought about, maybe because our winters are changing, or maybe this is just one weird winter, I always thought it would be absolutely splendid to have a small ice rink somewhere where people can skate. I don't know, I mean.
That's okay.
Well, sure.
I was waiting to see.
Broken legs.
No, there's such a thing as, it's called the Maine Tort Claims Act, am I right? And that covers the town for any recreation facilities. If it wasn't for that, there would be no town with a playground anywhere. You'd never see a public beach anywhere. It's that which covers the town's with recreational property. We're still on the hook for sidewalks and buildings and stuff like that, but you know, for recreational facilities, not so much.
Right, that's maybe solely gravel.
Right. Right, like if we had a gymnasium, for instance, that would be a recreational facility, but that's a whole nother ball of wax.
Fishing intermediate, walking.
Walking trail, yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Whatever.
the railroad bed is a good example of that. We wouldn't have been able to, you know, we probably wouldn't have purchased it for the town if it hadn't been for the fact that we knew that we could have it as a recreational facility, and if somebody was out fishing and fell off the bridge, they took that was their own responsibility.
So I propose that you have an ordinance come on the town meeting to form a rec committee similar to the guidelines of the cemetery.
A warrant article,
Yes. A warrant.
or I guess maybe what would have to happen is it would mean taking the administrative ordinance and making an amendment to that.
Which we are anyway.
Which we already made, so,
You can ask surrounding communities to contribute, but you also ask them, if they want to have members on it. That could be put on the newsletter. See if people are interested in becoming a rec committee person.
We need the ordinance first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if Marcus has any input to whether our swimming instructor who's not certified should be an employee, or how would we even go about that?
Well, how you're going to position this person, I guess, would be up to the town. Well, we generally recommend that services like this be a contracted service, just because, the town itself wouldn't necessarily have the direct oversight, control, maintenance, financial, all that fun stuff. Then that other individual would have to supply the town with evidence that they have insurance for the practice that they're going to be putting on, name the town as an additional insured, and then you've got the program, your oversight, and their funding, and then the liability is sort of lost, or at least it's not yours. If you make them your employee, then there's other things you have to do, and certification might be a piece of it. They generally tend to like to have them certified as lifeguards,
Right.
instructors, and all that. Once they become an employee, because then it's a municipal.
Even so,
Right,
I'm
and then
thinking
we
we
have
should have a
to have all of
certified
the-
lifeguard overseeing it anyway, and
I mean, that's our recommendation regardless.
volunteers, yeah.
Whether the best insulation as far as the town for transference of risk would be to have that person as a contract employee. With their own insurance. They take care of it.
as a contractor.
Yeah. That's not saying you can't do it as a town employee.
Sure.
We might have a little bit more input at that point in time if we choose to go that route.
Sure.
It's pretty commonly done. We see these all over the state. But most of them, unless there's a truly organized recreation group that's controlling it and signing everybody up. I know you looked at that and there was, statements about potentially getting waivers and such for the participants, but I think probably MMA legal, I didn't read that part of it. But I imagine they probably said that, waivers are great, but a parent nor a guardian can waive the rights of a child. So even if you had a waiver, they would still have the ability to bring an action against the municipality if they were to do it, or the contractor, if that person were to do it, up until the age of majority. So that's the age. So it can be, yeah, it can be a liability that's itself. Yeah, it's basically they get the statute of liability statute starts once they become an adult. So it's really kind of hard.
Cindy, do you know who the lead instructor was last year?
Dana and,
And were either one certified lifeguards?
I believe Victoria's ran out last April. Oh, her CPR.
CPR training, yeah.
But they both been lifeguards, but I'm not sure if they're current. I don't know how long the lifetime.
Did Dana used
It's
to work
all-
for YMCA?
It's all in your select board packet here.
My
Dana-
fear is if these ladies have to go and spend a lot of money on becoming certified, the money they're getting is just going to cover.
Our insurance,
It's gonna be worth it, and they're even gonna wanna do it anymore.
our insurance.
Right. Liability. It's liability. It's not a real lucrative type of.
No, they're not, really, they,
So it's like that.
And like I said, I had no clue as someone. And Leah doesn't have any lifeguard training, but she was just a helper to
To watch the kids.
fill in.
If you look at the letter,
Us,
she's requiring parents to attend.
yes,
I think
Which
that's
is.
important.
they have been, I think,
So
anyway.
each child has a guardian or,
Yeah.
you know,
So
I mean,
they're
somebody might have two or three.
also-
There were some people that dropped off and parents. They couldn't leave until the parent comes back.
At the end of the
At
lesson.
the end of the lesson and then
and
lingered on.
I was gonna say, which means they weren't on time.
Dana was in business with this
Yes.
herself years ago.
Right, it's all in your pocket, there's
Mhm.
bunch of.
But I'm not sure to see the ones like that. Like I said, I don't know.
The
how
cert,
they-
active certification.
Well, it looks like Victoria's lifeguarding certification expired April of this past year. And Dana. Yeah, she ran her own swimming business from 2003 to 2017.
But it didn't say that she certified.
No, I think she previously held CPR lifeguarding. You know, which is to say, you know, so she probably knows all the stuff, it's just, you know, that her certification is expired and. You know, someone whose certification is expired is undoubtedly better qualified than somebody who's never.
I think she's willing to go get it.
Well, I know it's all three of them, years with Victoria and Dana, all have the CPR training because we have to speak this. So they're all certified.
Oh,
for that.
sure, of course, because they are in fact.
Right.
And I can put in the looking more on it, because I didn't know what direction you were heading. Couldn't tell by the
Mhm.
conversation. Maybe you're looking more so that have them be employees, I can look and see what sort
I'm
of
thinking-
requirements may be applicable and might be.
Well.
But
you
they're
know,
making
we
less than
haven't
600.
really discussed the employee idea, I'm thinking, to be honest with you, I'm thinking not. But, you know, I can be convinced otherwise if it seems like it's a better idea.
Did I see a hand? No.
On the other hand, the contractors have to come up with all that insurance.
Then it might not be worthwhile.
What's it cost, Steve, having their own insurance? Like,
Well, I think it might depend on what exactly you're doing. You
I
know,
would think the swimming lessons would be. pricey.
more,
it might be, but
You
you
got,
know,
you got a kid. and-
you got a kid and you got water.
It's works great.
It's-
Yeah. No doubt.
so that probably would be worthwhile to them.
Yeah.
Susan,
So
you have a question?
Yes,
Couldn't you just have the parents sign a form that says that they understand if their child is in the swimming lesson, the parent has to be there during the duration of the lesson? I mean, how long do the lessons last? Yeah, I mean, by the time you walk from the beach back to the parking lot back to the beach.
they can't even go anywhere from the beach, anywhere for a half hour and get back to that beach.
Yeah, that's what I mean, the parents have to be.
yeah, have them sign something.
Yeah, so they understand that that's condition of the child participating in the lesson.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's, should be,
Yeah.
but that. It's that eliminate the risk, not viable.
Yeah, and it is allowing the child to be.
It's an organized, it's an organized event. kind of school activity, and school activity, the parents still there. And something with mom, it's still, it's the body. A lot of times, part of a rec committee, so there used to be a lot of times with the one parent here, is more so because when the activity's over, we want to.
Right.
And we don't want to make.
Well, they've got other lessons back to back, so they're trying to teach the next class,
Yeah.
right? And then parents aren't back, you got little kids running around.
Sure.
Dan Marshall.
Dan La Rochelle.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm just curious as to how is the town beach insured currently versus having other people contract out? Are we, the town, insured now if something happens with any level of people's, whether it's children or adults?
Outdoor recreational facilities are exempt from requiring insurance.
Except your immune liability wise outdoor recreation.
Right, well,
community
because it's not exempt is the wrong word.
Dan, can you hear that?
I heard Lee, that the town's exempt from insuring people's on a town beach.
Yeah, exempt is maybe the wrong word, immune. All public recreational facilities, town recreational facilities are immune from liability. For, outdoor recreation facilities when people use them. Otherwise, there would be never a public pool, nor a public playground, nor walking trails, or anything if the town could be sued anytime somebody gets hurt.
It could still be sued.
So,
If it,
yeah, you still could be sued. So my thought is if you have a rec committee, this gentleman or some people's in the audience are proposing, I'm pretty sure that falls under a different category of insurance because now you're, especially if it's on other town properties, like you want an ice skating rink. It's funny you said that because I was talking to people at a basketball game tonight or practice that I'm going to be making a rink on my property. But I think it'd be a great idea for people in the area. There's no ice rinks, whether it be Buckfield or, and I think it's a great idea. I think it would involve a lot more children, into the skating and things like that for recreation. I think it's a wonderful idea, that cross-country skiing. There's all kinds of alternatives, especially for where we live. So I was just curious on the insurance part. I mean, if you're going to have somebody contract out, they're liable for insurance, and they're probably going to tell you if the town's immune, then they're probably not going to get insurance.
So the municipality is as immunity under the Major Claims Act of 14 for outdoor recreation. Private contractor groups that we work with wouldn't have those same immunities. And we have immunity for the land system. If one of your employees still performing a negligent act that harms somebody performing sport, regardless of whether there's immunity on the state side of something, it's still bringing attention to this. So there's a disconnect between lands designated for outdoor recreation and potentially more specific recreation.
For the programs.
So that it could be some differences. I imagine MMA, we will probably voice some of that in that area.
Peggy?
Can you require a contractor who's going to teach us skiing lessons to assume liability and not require them to have insurance for liability? I'm just saying, what can you possibly do to volunteer your time?
They're not volunteering. They want money.
They
but-
do get paid.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It says here, summer of 2023, $2,000 was split between 3 instructors. So it's not big bucks either.
And we got 600 in fees from the swimming lessons.
Different towns.
My suggestion, kind of spread out, maybe you could ask other select would contribute to the rec committee to help in the costs, if you include them on the rec committee. Whether Buckfield, wherever.
But
They
then we,
contribute now.
get into the parking issue and the residents.
Where is it? Place?
Yeah.
Someone's
So if you-
mother club.
Boy, I'll say,
Have we ever priced out insurance to cover some lessons?
We've never held swimming lessons. That group did it all.
That's right, and it wasn't a part of the town.
Probably not.
I think that it's us, it probably would be additional. We have like about, so there's, but what would change would be brought on employees who have workers' comp exposures and other things that get attached to it. If there were to be liabilities that attached to it down the road, you know, those incurred costs could affect the field pricing down the road as well, but we don't really price differently for that, it's just part of the exposures, but we would need to know if there's changes in employment, changes in costs, those things. So it's not really an ad coverage that we put on if you're adding staff, which changes workers' comp costs.
But if they only work 2 weeks, that's gonna be a pretty short,
Doesn't matter how. long
Venue.
you work, it doesn't matter what
right?
workers' comp is based on so much remuneration. So it wouldn't be astronomical, but I'd have to know those figures. on
Right, 'cause if we were paying, say it's even 2,500. In total wages. I know we'd have matching food or SUDA, all that stuff, I get all that, but, and FICA, but, it seems like that wouldn't add up that much, that wouldn't want to offer this great service. No one's offering it, as far as I can tell, around us,
Mm.
besides the YWCA, all the way over in Lewiston.
I'm sure somebody offers swimming lessons.
some of the Mothers Club always used to, but not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not for decades, I don't guess. It's from
Mike is on the
when
line.
Damon used to go to
Why?
swimming lessons in.
What's that?
What's that?
My kids went to the Y for their swimming lessons. I looked it up, it was $85 for me.
$85, wow. And Leah's not a little kid anymore.
20 years ago.
Dan's hand's still up. I don't know if it's the same hand or.
Hey, Dan, do you have something? else?
That's a new hand. I was just curious if you proposing a rec committee, is that just encompassing just the swim lessons, or is this something, a whole new entity where you're gonna start involving other recreation activities? That's just my curiosity, because most of the kids, I would say, around here are now involved in mostly Buckfield Recreation Committee. So just a thought, if that's what you're thinking.
It remains to be seen. If it's a whole new rec committee, it could be, you know, we get to envision what we want and take it from there.
Like Tri-Town Rec Committee.
It's
Keep it
conceivable.
simple, please.
Oh, sorry. Just thinking more people involved.
Yeah.
Well, one of the questions here is if Hebron could be
Included, right?
included in this summer in Buckfield and
Hebron Academy doesn't have a pool, does it?
I don't know.
No, but they sure do have big skating rink.
They have a beautiful skating rink.
Yeah, it's actually,
And Robin does too.
in the hazard mitigation, the Oxford County Hazard Mitigation, it's considered to be one of the, major hazardous locations in Oxford County.
They're asking if we can include Hebron.
Because of the refrigerant that's involved.
Right, yeah.
We have 3 or 4 lakes. Can't they just ice skate in one lake?
Some years, we could. I don't know if I
Shovel
want to be
lake.
out there this year.
It's a good question, right?
No.
Be a short hockey season this year.
Mhm.
I'll tell you what.
Well, I like the idea of letting more towns in and looking at the fees. I certainly don't want to outprice it, but I think our prices in order to do it the right way and protect the town as select board members, we have to protect the town from liability. And if that means hiring them for employees for 2 weeks and covering their workers' comp and everything else, and that's if that's the way to get, protect
You
the
know, I
town.
mean, you know, we may or may not have, I mean, they may or may not be interested in that.
Right.
Too.
We would probably have to pay for their certification also.
Oh, I mean, hiring new employees, even for a couple of weeks, is not gonna be. cheap.
Oh, I understand that,
They might not want to do the contract way either.
but I just don't think, right,
I think you guys need to talk to Dana and.
Yes, ask them
And see,
Yeah, they were here at our last meeting.
what they like
Yeah.
and what they don't.
and I think the reason they asked about the Hebron was because the 3 people that was in it last year, they're all teachers at Hebron
Hebron.
Station.
and they
Right,
could get
which
more
is a town
students.
street School.
Yeah.
So they're all little kids.
yeah,
I believe that's probably why they asked.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
And the
wonderful.
Hebron Station doesn't go with Hebron Academy. 2 different entities.
Boy, I'll say.
I just didn't
And
know,
some.
I just mentioned the other day, there's like no swimming pools around here unless you go to Lewiston Auburn for off-season swimming. I mean, you can still swim now, I just wouldn't.
I think that's a good idea.
I'm willing to offer my beach and water if someone else wants to, but I'm not doing that. So I make a suggestion that we invite the swimming, the people that are interested in doing this. Back
Dana
here
Victoria?
and, yes.
Dana just lives up the street, but I don't know where Victoria comes from.
So, okay.
South Paris.
Ask them to come and see if we can, hammer out some stuff. Do we want to do a separate meeting? Do we want to tie it to our select board meeting? Do we want to come a half hour early and I say that because they're school teachers, which means they're getting up early.
Yeah.
I'm at 6 instead of 6:30.
6 or 6:30.
You don't get much accomplished in a half hour.
Yeah, have them come at 6.
Okay.
Next meeting?
Which is,
February
Feb-
1st, I think. It's calendar.
yeah, it would be
No,
February 1st. Yeah, yeah, can,
6 p.m.
yeah,
And I'll do some research tomorrow, like, you know, if there's.
That would be great.
Prerequisites that are
Thank you.
required
Mhm.
of the Instructor. And hopefully it's not much.
well, maybe we could even come up with an employment contract where they agree to teach for 3 years and we pay for their certification.
On February. Yeah.
I mean, does it want to have this that you need?
Well, I need. to
Right,
make sure
yeah.
Person that the women.
6 o'clock is
What,
February 1st. 6 o'clock it is.
great,
Is it gonna be a workshop before the meeting or just start the meeting at 6?
I think before the meeting.
before the meeting.
Well, she wants to know whether whether we're going to refer to it as a select board workshop
Oh.
until 7 o'clock. So a select board workshop is, you know, it's different from a meeting.
No decision.
You know, some, you know, the public would come to a workshop, but the public doesn't have the input, you know, in the workshop.
Right, well-
It's for us to work on whatever it is we're looking.
I really think we need to focus on the people that have been instructors that might want to be instructors and how they might want to.
So shall we call it over to the show, so for the sake of Leanne letting people know about this, it will be a workshop from 6 to 7. And then we'll have a meeting from 7
Yeah,
to 4, right?
correct. Or 6 to 6:45 so that we have time in between, so make sure we finish. All right, moving on. Thank you so much. Next, we have Gather Guard Insurance MMA Risk Management Assessment with Marcus.
So I was hoping. One, thank you for inviting me out. But I was hoping that you could sort of give me more of a narrative of what you're looking to use, what you're trying to open up as far as facilities go. And then we can sort of have a little broader conversation as to what recommendations are for facility use and those types of things. Is that okay?
Well,
I just want to make sure that I'm answering the questions that you specifically want.
So,
what we're thinking about using is this.
So we have private entities, town members that rent this, so we have a fee associated and a deposit. And they're required to either get a rider on their homeowners or get coverage while they're here. If it's a private function. And so it also made us think about, what about these other functions that we open up to the public? Should we not have better coverage? And Leanne and her daughter just did this wonderful Thanksgiving meal. And her homeowners wouldn't normally cover it, so she had a rider.
Yeah, I had sent Marcus all the examples of.
And it was an enormous amount of money for a one-day dinner that we often do dinners here. So we were trying to come up with something that was more affordable, that people that may own an apartment but don't have insurance, but would like to rent, how do they get coverage? And so,
So a couple of my questions with that were, you said we often have lots of dinners here, things like that. I come from a small town where we just like probably most people did. And we tend to use big encompassing words like we and us and coverage and things like that. When you say we, are we talking the town as a legal entity, or are you talking?
a town-supported function, we are having a potluck supper here.
No,
Oh,
when we rent the hall.
oh,
they
when
sign
that
an
way, I thought he
agreement,
meant
they pay
when
a
I said we
fee.
do functions.
Well, you can, both, I'm looking at both.
Okay,
Because,
okay.
what I did, because I saw a lot of communications going sort of all over the place on how things were, and I made up it's a document that tries to delineate the differences between what would be a town committee and what would be a private group or association, because we tend to get these questions quite a lot. So the town right now is covered through Maine Municipal Association. And if you were to do a dinner, or if you were to have a special event that you're conducting yourselves, you've already got that. We're already going to extend that coverage to you as part of the related general liability that we have. As long as the town truly sponsors and controls the event. I'm sorry, I grew up in a military family, so talking with my back to people, I can't do it, so. If you-
Yeah,
you're okay with me, I'll
all
interrupt
good.
with that. So as long as it's a truly town-sponsored activity where you as the board have the ability to stop it, control it, modify it, do what you need to do and want to do. Plus, all the funds raised and dispersed go through the town treasurer and are accounted for in your annual audit. And it doesn't involve a separately incorporated entity, because we get a lot of them that try to tie in on that, then you're already most likely covered. Because our coverage covers what the town does. Liability coverage is just that, it's the extension of what you do as a body. So the other piece of it is, so if those dinners that you hold, if they're truly held by the town, and you're just inviting people to come down here and eat, and if there's even funds that are raised and dispersed, as long as they're accounted for as through the town's treasurer, and in your annual audit, it's already done. There's nothing more needed. Where it becomes a bit more complicated is that people want to use it for private functions. You know, I've done that. You know, my sons had birthday parties. I wanted to use the town hall. We rent the hall. We get our own insurance to make sure it's covered and move on. The reason why in May is recommending that if you do have private groups utilizing this building, that they do have insurance and that they do need the town as an additional insurer, is because that private group, even though they might be doing something for the betterment of a good portion of the community, is putting the entire community potentially at risk for their personalized event, which is not the town's. And if the town is sort of funding that, that gets you into some situations where it's a little gray as far as appropriation taxpayer dollars, because it's personal betterment of one group over the town. And then two, if something goes horribly wrong, it really shouldn't be the town's responsibility to pick that up when it's private. I did litigation management for a number of years. Like I said before, I've been representing municipalities for 30 years. And for 10 of that, I was doing litigation management. One of the largest, most difficult claims I've ever done believe it or not, was from just use of the building. I will say that everybody goes in today, but at that time, it was a town facility, and a beautiful wraparound deck, 2 stories that overlooked the water, was used for wet interceptions all the time. It was hot, it was June, they were setting up for one, they said, hey Bob, can you go open the door, let some air in? Bob goes and does it, Bob doesn't know that there's a small child sitting on the railing on the other side of the door. And again, that's why I said everybody's okay. We weren't
Wow,
okay at that time. That, like, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. The family of the child who got harmed, was a local farming family who would give just about anything they had, but no insurance. And so they did what they had to do. They sued absolutely everybody. They sued the people putting on the wedding. They sued Bob for opening the door. They sued the town for the facility. And the part that I think most people miss with the recommendation to have insurance is that the pain for that community, it split that town for decades. Because half the town was for one camp, half the town was for the other camp, and it was like Hatfield in the woods. It was horrible. People were spiking at each other, and it all could have been prevented with like a $75 insurance policy. So, you know, those types, and then, so in that same situation, to make things worse, you know, us as your insurer, that scenario would be yours, our job's to defend you. So our job's gonna come in, say, absolutely right, we're here, we're gonna protect the town of Hartford, it was not your town's fault. And we've gotta go after your constituents. So it makes for a really uncomfortable situation. So I mean, it's insurance, one that's being recommended because not only does it insulate the town, whether they know it or not, it insulates the user as well. And it stops these scenarios from really getting ugly and splitting a small town. You know, whether or not you require insurance for your community, that's up to you. We're gonna make recommendations, we're gonna stand by them, say we recommend it, and we do it. One, for fairness purposes, you know, it's a private event. And a private event shouldn't expose me as a taxpayer to liabilities that I'm incurring because somebody else wants to have a part. You know, so that's one part of it, it's just fairness and equity. The other piece of it is I want to keep our towns together. And, you know, for something as innocuous as like a simple $75, and I keep saying $75 because there's a program that we sponsor that we put in play 4-minute studies, which is that gathering. We don't get a penny, we just negotiated that gathering for our towns. You know, that generally for a group that's under 100 people, that's $75 for them to purchase a policy for that. That would cover building, it would cover the liability if they hurt somebody or hurt property, and it automatically makes the town as the person insured. That's an avenue. You can potentially do it for homeowners. No, it didn't work for yours. Some will do it. Mine are have what they call an umbrella.
Mine
for my
works.
house.
Yeah.
So
Mine
they,
did too.
my standard won't, but the umbrella will. So I just gotta contact my insurer and they'll issue it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes there's avenues where it's already taken care of and it's free, depending on what kind of coverage you have.
So if somebody has that kind of coverage, they don't need the gathering garden insurance in there.
Oh, absolutely not.
They can not take
No, and you shouldn't be really pushing insurance one way or the other. You know, the gathering garden
We can offer.
that we have out there, you can just say, we require insurance. We require that the towns in need has an additional insured, and you can pick a limit, whether it be, you know, the general limit nowadays is about $1,000. But you can make those as the conditions of use, and then if they go, well, we don't know where to get insurance, you can say, you want to contact your homeowners, or there's this program that's available that the town participates in. But you don't want some towns start forcing and say, no, you can't use gallery.
No.
I said, when did you become an insurance agent? You know, that's not the town rule. The town rule is just setting the conditions of use. And then the people who are using it, then take whatever they want. They can go buy coverage, get extension on their house, or potentially use it.
How long does it take to process a gather guard request?
But
Oh, cool.
it's all online. It's a whole, and that's what we did, we basically organized this, it used to be called Tulip, which is a much cuter name, I thought. Because it stood for tenant user liability insurance program. I think Tulips, they changed the name on it. So now it's gathered, everything has to evolve, it became a much bigger program with the success of it, what's it called, kept going. And it's an online program, you basically go in, the town, if you want to participate, I don't even know if we're signed up yet, I think some of the complication with that over. There's no cost to the town, it's absolutely free, we do all the sign up and set up for you. And then we give you a 7-digit access code, and that's what the people will put in. So I give you like a little how-to guide that shows people how to use it. Go to the website, put in the 7-digit code, which links it to the town of Hartford. They then say what event they want, the date they want, and then there's a button on it that says give me a quick quote. And it will tell them what it costs. What I always tell people, because a lot of times they call me, and I say, print it off. I said, it's not binding. I said, print that off, call any local insurance agent you want, and say, need it. And if they do, good. If they don't, then you know you're gonna get a price. Because like I said, we don't care, we're a nonprofit, we're an extension of the municipality, so, you know, we just wanna make sure you're protected. And in the 10 years this program's been around, for like single 1-day events, like facility use, never seen it even come close to being used. Most standard insurance policies have a minimum premium of $250 to $350, even start. And this one starts at $75.
And it goes up like if we're doing like flamethrowing in here. As a private function, that might be a higher rate.
There's somebody taking these at home time.
Oh my God, that's outrageous.
It is insurance, so that's okay.
Sword swallowing? Maybe not either.
Huh?
The sword swallowing, flame throwing, sword swallowing.
I'm not an alcoholic. Actually, that is what alcohol, that's what most liquor like. If you're selling alcohol, that's a different, that's when you need liquor liability extension put on, I think that's hence the double, so if it was 75, it would become 150.
We'd have to hire, they'd have, whoever did that function, if they were selling it, they would have to bring in a caterer, yeah,
And if that activity, the caterer.
right, they have to. Peggy?
Excellent question. What kind of things are we talking about? Like, we did the fundraising for people like, the house.
Not benefits so much. Well,
Would that have that
That's,
insurance?
well, that's a good question.
That's one.
In the past, we have waived insurance requirements for, fundraiser benefit for, you know, somebody whose house burned down. or
But
something
when
like that.
you waive it, you still have liability? Even though you waive the requirement, is there still liability?
Well, there's always like, I mean, there's nothing, so in that situation, was that a town event? The fundraiser?
Event, was it sponsored by the town? I mean, we allowed the community to use the hall.
The money did not go
The
through.
money-
No money went.
No.
to the town.
I was
No.
trying to delineate.
No, I understand completely, but no, you know, this is like somebody's house burns down and somebody says, oh my God, this calls for a benefit supper. And the people who are good at this sort of stuff start organizing it, planning a date, and they call the town clerk and say, can we get the hall on such a date? And that goes to the select board, generally speaking, and we say, oh, yes, of course, we want to be able to let them use the hall for this, and in the past anyways, we've generally waived the requirement that they have insurance for it, we just let them come and use the hall.
Yeah, I mean, what I always recommend in situations like, well, one, your town, you can set the rules to it. You know, we always say is that if something goes wrong, and then we do have to come in, so don't be mad at us, if we gotta do our job, but at both times, typically, let's slow people down. I do recommend though, you know, one of the things that I say to all towns is create a use policy. And
We do, actually,
but not just a use policy for the building, but like an overall policy that the town adopts as far as what they're gonna require as far as usage, because what you wouldn't wanna get yourself into, like in that situation, though it's very, sort of %, you wouldn't wanna find down the road and told someone else no. and now you're into the discriminatory practice. So what a town can do is choose usage and say, you know, if it's an event for the public good, so they define it, we're not gonna require.
Right, what we've
But
generally
if
said,
it's a private
free,
activity,
free and open to the public. We've allowed, and back when we had a
Also,
rec
the
committee,
community dinners too.
well, we used to have a potluck supper once a month, whether we needed it, not every first Friday. We had a potluck supper and everybody came in, it was free for anybody who wanted to come and eat. And everybody brought something and there usually was always enough for everybody. And we did for a long time have a donation jar, that's how we paid for the,
so you do that under your rec committee.
well, that's just, we used to have a rec committee, we don't have a rec
Oh.
committee anymore.
Leanne?
Well, our use policy now does say all events not related to the town of Hartford, which don't go through the office, are required to have insurance, but you guys always waive it for funerals, for craft fairs, for.
Yeah, that's why I need so many things like that that are done.
For funerals, the craft
Mhm.
fairs never, you know, there's
I mean, for like
craft
craft
fairs.
fairs and potlucks though, you know, if it's not the town, you know, it's up to you, but my recommendation isn't, that isn't. Typically. You know, if it's not fully controlled by the town. And I guess, you know, on a little G, you know, I've dealt with the claims, one of the largest claims I ever handled, was potluck. And it was 113 counts of salmonella poisoning,
Mhm.
it was $10,000 for each individual for hospitalization. And quick math, that's over $1.3 million. So just, you know. If it's not the town and it's not prescribed. Activities that you want to waive for, you know, some things seem relatively community enough. Really.
And they
You
might
don't
be
have
able to-
control of the food, you don't have to doing it, bringing it in,
All they have to do is someone with the coverage, free coverage like you, just provide insurance, right?
or.
That'd be my event.
Or get something like what's offered to the gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to wear my first meeting hat and say, you know, we recommend that if outside groups are utilizing the facility, that they have insurance and they need to have some additional insurance. Because that's your.
We could give the hall for free for a funeral, but they need to pay the liability insurance, which could be free if they have homeowners, whoever's signing it out, or they could pay the 75 or whatever it might be for
You
liability.
set whatever policy you want to discuss. But I have to get my recommendations against the, as harsh as that, that's. I do apologize for that. My job is to protect you as the town.
Yeah.
Or they can just go to the church, like the soup and sandwich luncheon. It used to always happen here.
But we do have many towns that do, you know, senior lunches and things like that through an organized committee of the town.
Yeah, but we don't have such a committee.
No, but I'm saying if it ever does,
Right.
I'm saying if that becomes a town activity, then you already have. So there's ways
We used
of,
to have a rec committee
Yeah.
and while
Yeah.
mostly they've been suing.
That
residents,
wasn't in town books, that was separate.
well, it was separated
Doesn't-
at a certain point.
I don't understand why Polly couldn't have done she's done her soup and salad luncheons here before.
Question,
Mhm.
if we had a record, they wouldn't need additional coverage for a public, so. The town,
if there's a group, and it doesn't have to be a rec committee, if there's an organized group of the town that's putting together an event. That overall event have coverage. That doesn't say that if somebody brought food in that was bad, that individual would be held liable too. Because there's no way of getting rid of somebody else's potential liability. But that's one way that the overall activity, like if somebody slipped and fell coming, had an accident while they're here, you know, the function itself will be covered under the town.
you had a town hall committee.
Yeah, you know, the activity committee for the town, that could be the recreation facilities, the use of the hall, you know, the things that are our community. activities.
When we had yoga, we had yoga here, we had belly dancing lessons here for a while.
That's what I-
And those were all
But weren't those
Under the
first-
rec committee, they were
Yeah,
under
so the
rec
money
committee.
would have to go
Yeah, the
through,
money has to
the
go to the
books.
town, they can't go through separate groups of, because I remember that, because I think they came out for that a long time ago.
But then the
That's a long
town
time
could
ago.
cut the check to the belly dancer.
But then that's a contracted.
a contract or an
And then
employee.
you would want them.
Oh, yes.
Right.
You just keep a list of people who put it on.
So we can just like
Just
not
provide,
use the Halloween
just make them
one.
provide
Your
insurance.
activity,
Right.
participate in.
What if all like the federal things like LLC? No idea, I represent this, once you leave the government world, I've been doing this for so long. Yeah, I didn't know what it is. But if it was an LLC, they'd have to have their own insurance, and probably whoever's carrying them would probably tell them if you're loaning it out to other people, they want to have them insured as well.
I know what Lee just said about the Polly's luncheon, but we have never stopped her from doing anything here because she opens it to the public and it's like a senior luncheon. It's a great thing, and they might play games. I don't know why she would feel that she couldn't do it here at all.
Don't we have to just recognize it as part of the town in some kind of official manner? Sounds like what he's saying.
Yeah,
Well, in order for the town's coverage to.
Right, well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Whether
but we never
it's-
required that for,
The personnel involved can be the same, but the structure that organizes is just different for the means that comes out of the town.
yeah.
As long as it's really true, I mean. as
I've
long
seen
as-
it advertised.
Yeah, as long as
Well-
as long as it really is, I mean, the whole thing is gonna be, let's go to those books.
It can't be one selectman decide to open it up for a dinner. They're not gonna, that's not,
I mean, we would have questions,
yeah.
and it's not really anything to stop it, it's just that we just need to know it's controlled by the town. If we find that the county's going somewhere else, then we've got a liability issue, because all I can do is defend the municipality. And I can't take the municipality's insurance and extend it to a private individual, because that violates numerous rules. of-
So what if the Girl Scouts wanted to come here and use it?
They already-
What if our local ATV club wants to come and use it?
I would recommend the same standard that they have insurance. Because they're a private group.
And our policy says that, says what he's saying, we just don't always follow it.
And Al Borzelli talked to me today, I sat with him at lunch, and he wants to have another B class in the spring, and, you know.
So he'll have to have insurance.
Has to have insurance.
We're supposed to anyway, according to our policy.
According to what you have now, we have to go based off what you have. I mean, like I helped run a recreation program in my town. But we weren't part of the town, because we had our own books. And even though it was for the betterment of everybody that was in our community, and just about everybody's children who were in our community participated. It wasn't a town sanctioned group or activity, so we had to have our own insurance, and that was all part of what we organized when we took enrollment fees and all that stuff. Most of it went to securing insurance or partnerships with groups like Cal Ripken or Babe Ruth, you know, that dues that you pay into them, there's a blanket insurance
They had a
policy
blanket
that's
insurance,
with them.
yeah.
Same with the Boys and Girls Clubs, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, they all already have, because that's what they're paying into. So a lot of the groups like that, you'll find they already have insurance, it's just a matter of asking.
Well, it's a brand new club, so we'll just have to let them know.
Yeah.
That's what
But
we're gonna
based upon
do.
your current use agreement that you have, it's realistically for folks who are using it, they're supposed to be supplying the town with evidence of insurance and naming the town as an additional insured. Whether you want to modify that, you definitely can. My job is definitely not to tell you how to run your town and what I have to do. That's up for you as the board and annual town meeting to decide how that works.
Bless you.
But I'd be more willing to take questions or.
I like the idea of having access to the Gather Guard for any group that is looking for insurance. It seems like it could be very affordable, and for those people that might not own a home or have other covered liability, I would hope
Some people don't even have insurance, homeowners
that,
insurance.
that we would be able to say, hey, look, we can offer you Gather Guard through MMA and this is how you access it.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it's technically, it's not through us, we just negotiate, it's through the Hartford. But it's one that you can put out there, there's absolutely no cost, the town can sign up and you never ever use it. I can sit there for 10 years and it will never cost you a thing, it'll never cost you a thing even if. it
Do you
is
say it's through Hartford Insurance?
The Hartford, yeah.
It sounds like it's open.
Perfect.
Sounds perfect to me.
Yeah, it's almost meant to be, yeah,
Yeah.
but, yeah, I mean, it's,
So really, if this means that if anybody wants to use the hall, it's gonna cost them $150.
no, that would be.
No, it's already $75.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes,
And if-
they don't already have coverage.
No,
Right.
but, so if they already have insurance company, coverage, then they can use the hall for free. I understood that we had a $75 charge to use the
No,
hall.
that's not what we said.
You can waive that if you want, they should have insurance somehow.
But
So,
if,
we
Just
don't,
we can go either
if
way.
somebody wants to have their family Christmas party here, it's gonna cost them
they do anyway, they rent it.
75 plus.
That's what I do for Thanksgiving here. I pay the
Yeah.
pay the 100 for the 25 deposit and then go to my insurance company.
So
Which,
the actual rental's not a problem, because they sign the agreement, they provide the
Yeah.
insurance. It's the church and the craft fair and the funerals and.
the church might have insurance.
You guys waive it though, so I can't ask for it. Usually.
Comment, I just think that in this day and age, that it would be very wise for us to have something as a town to fall back on for insurance on these specialty groups, you know, that aren't part of the town. Because I mean, in a minute, you know, so many people are so quick to sue.
Yeah, and like
In a
Marcus,
minute, you could lose everything.
like Marcus said, it's just not gonna affect you three, it's gonna affect 1,200 people.
Well, and if so, we want to waive the fee for someone to have a, use this for funeral services or open house after a funeral, they just need to supply insurance if we decide to waive the rental, but
I mean, and the big piece is, and what's different, because a lot of folks go, well, I can go to this facility and they'll let us use it, go to this one and let us use it. This is a town. And a town, you have to be fair and equitable to everybody. And my event should bring the rest of the town something to work on. And that's where it's different, because you're using taxpayer funds to maintain this building. And anything that happens to it spreads equally among everybody. Where if it was a private group, it stops at that private group, and it stops at that private building. But when it's a town and it's taxpayer dollars that are coming in to fund and support it, it makes the obligation a little tougher because it is a public. So it's really a fairness issue. There's always arguments of even constitutional issues for general purpose. You know, towns aren't supposed to compete with private practice. You know, so if there's businesses out there, you're not supposed to be taking on roles that private business performs because you're then impinging on their ability to make money. So it's all these little weird things that happen just because you're a municipality. And that's why we make these recommendations, is because one, we want to protect the town, because it's what we want us to do. But two, I've seen it when it goes the other way, it's absolutely horrible. It's sad, and people at the same time shouldn't be sitting there going, like, you can get hurt, and have to wait for years to figure out what's going on, because somebody didn't want to spend $75. You know, it's those kind of things where morally and ethically and fairness wise, I get a little conflicted with stuff isn't there, you know, as a taxpayer. So that's, you know, those are the general recommendations. Has to be why we make them, is one, we want to give you the risk transfer tools to protect you, and two, it's fairness and equity, ethics and morality, you know, those things to protect one another, each other, and actually have a community. So, you know, that's my spin on it. And like I said, if you guys want to participate in that program, I just need an email of who wants to be the key contact. Because all we do is what that key contact does is whenever somebody binds a policy, it's gonna automatically send a certificate of insurance to whoever that key contact is. So I imagine I know who it is. I just have to get something in writing that says it, and I can get you guys signed up, get you a number, give you some forms, and if you use it, you use it. If you don't, it won't, no harm, no foul.
Do I need to make a motion?
Sounds that way.
If you want.
I would like to make a motion to make Gather Guard available to our local residents for their community gatherings, private gatherings, if they don't have anything accessible that, like through homeowners. It's And have Leanne be the, contact.
I second it.
On favor? Oops,
Yeah, I'd just like to suggest, you made a simple motion and then added a bunch of stuff in there, and I'd like to suggest that just because, Leanne mentioned croaking, and I don't think she is gonna croak anytime right off, but I think it might be sensible to say, and have the town clerk be the contact person. Just in case.
Might not always.
There you go.
You're right, you're right,
I'm just saying,
you're right.
just, not. I don't expect Leanne's gonna.
so I'll amend my motion. I'll amend my motion to, make this program available and make the town clerk be the point of contact.
Lee's just hoping.
Nonsense.
I second it.
All in favor?
Now, do you need something in writing for them, signed by them?
You just should be.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I'll
Great.
get that set up. To give you the email tomorrow, I'll start. Cause I could. Get it set up, tomorrow, I'll give you information on this.
Okay, thanks.
That would be great, thank you. And we appreciate you coming over. It's so much easier face to face
Oh,
than,
absolutely, that's why I asked if it was a Zoom
Perfect.
requirement or attended, okay, because, it is a complex issue and it's a personal issue.
right.
A lot of vested interest in the buildings, just a lot of vested.
And we've had these conversations at this table before, saying what's fair for one is fair for all. You can't keep changing the rules, and
It's true. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because I don't wanna go through the other stuff.
We don't, we don't think about that stuff, but it can be scary.
yeah,
But I will say, I have seen it when there is a policy in place. Everybody wants ways to buy. Because the insurance companies battle it out.
Yeah.
People are gonna.
you can't rent a hall anywhere. I have a very large family, 8 kids, they're all married and with kids, and so like this year, there's 37 at my Thanksgiving and I brought them here. But it was $75, and then my homeowners did cover it, but I happen to have, I live on a pond, so my homeowners is already expensive. 'Cause people are swimming. I have a dog. And so,
I have a hockey player and skateboarder for a son. And all that stuff in my here, which is what I had massive exit policy on one, so.
Yeah.
I get it. They did a nice, image of my property and said, what are those? Oh. It's just an extension of my deck. It doesn't look like that.
exactly,
They would have rather had a family that had full skateboard park. Like
yes.
But I appreciate the opportunity, and if there's more questions come up or anything like that.
Oh, there will be,
All of us at
Yeah.
NFP work for you.
Yeah.
If there's anything that we can do to help you make things clear or
Yeah.
try to take the gray away.
Yeah. And I just want to stress, there is no reason at this point, we've done community functions here, and we don't want to turn people away. They're doing community good, but we need to figure out a way to protect the community
And like I
and
said,
them from liability.
if it is a county, if you do progress down the road and take some, maybe do some things, that's gonna be covered by us already. So most of it, like, the potluck's a little tricky, the people are bringing in their own food or stuff. I can't control the liability of somebody else, Bizarre things happen, we've had people who are spiteful, who
Oh, I remember that story. I remember that story.
Yeah, that's what I mean, there's stuff that does happen where, you know, that person, everybody was sued. And then everybody had to sort of flip the script and go out with the person who painted the student, so. You just. I'd like to say I can make this stuff up, but every time I've heard it all, another claim across my desk.
Yeah.
But I can. No, I'll get busy with the work.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yes,
so
thanks
much.
for coming.
Oh, absolutely.
Cindy, I just want to tell you, I just did the easy math. I even did it longhand. We brought in $600 last year for swim lessons for 47 kids, which means on average, they paid $13 a child.
I think we made more than that. It's from us.
Didn't we hear the 600?
Because the towns gave us money.
Some,
Canton, Buckfield.
I had that, I see that, those figures.
I didn't get.
On the price of the community lessons on the scale, they sure that they charge a certain amount for one child, and if you family had 4 kids, that cheaper.
Right.
It was kind of confusing. But. I mean, I would had, if you child $25 a kid, if the family's got 4 kids.
Right.
Or, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. To ask,
Yeah, I didn't see any, the only money I took in was from the towns. Elizabeth handled everything else.
so I think.
But that's gonna change.
Or, right, or whatever, on those ladies would tell you how much they have for drivers. But I would be interested to find out what other places charge. Which would must.
I see that number somewhere, and I can't remember where.
And Buckfield somewhere, these other towns like send kids, they don't, donate toward the cost of it.
So,
Yes, I didn't bring the information, but we got checks from each town.
and who asked for that money?
I don't know, I wasn't
It
involved.
just
in
showed up
this.
so,
We
okay.
took over July 1st, and those checks came in after July 1st, so they went to the town books.
I still believe the rec committee ought to have, be a committee, but the money ought to go through. the-
Everything should go through the town, so it's all accountable.
Well,
I stated in the ordinance. And
it
they
was
can,
more than 20 years ago when the select board at the time decided that the rec committee would be not.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
For the rec committee, they said the select board decided meeting over there in the town office. And they decided that the rec committee would be not part of the town. And they basically kicked the rec committee out of the town. In order to, so they didn't have to deal with it. They didn't want to deal with it. They kicked out the rec committee and, oh man, somebody else at the same time, it seems like. But the rec committee was basically kicked out of the budget. It was rolled into social services because it was more of a social service, and nothing to do with the town. And don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you, from my memory, what took place. This was, what was it? It was Dave Bowen and Pete Terrio and yeah, Dave Kraske were the select board members at the time, but I can remember it because I was one of
Turn it up a
the,
little bit.
I was one of the people that showed up. at every
14
single meeting.
outside.
And I was watching at the time. And and I remember saying to them, I said, well, that doesn't sound right, but
It
they're
is,
gonna do what they're gonna do anyhow. And it's kind of been like that ever since.
And I just.
I think there was another committee too at the same time.
Town clerk, at least you've got some accountability. You can see what came in.
Right.
But
Yeah.
they,
Make logical decisions.
but,
Yeah.
and it didn't make sense to me at the time, and frankly, it kind of never did, and,
Yeah.
nothing's ever changed around it, but that is,
and I guarantee that rec committee didn't have insurance for the swimming.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
imagine not.
oh my God.
The social services rec committee. I mean, I'm trying to remember, so, this was long enough ago that you might have been the deputy clerk, but you probably were not there at the time that this took place.
I started working for Monica when Dave, Pete and Dave were selectmen.
You did. You were working for Monica, but you weren't necessarily attending select board meetings because you didn't have to be there.
Yeah, I was, but I didn't know what was going on. She's
Yeah.
gonna make me go.
Right, okay, so I.
All right, well, that was
I
years
don't have
ago,
to
so
remember,
let's
but
move
you may or
forward.
may not remember about that.
Yeah.
In any case.
All right, we're gonna talk a little bit about cybersecurity. I have a meeting next week with the camera guy. Can't remember what his first name is off the top of my head. Yeah, to talk about how many cameras in the areas we want to cover, so he can get me some sort of pricing and how that would send pictures to through internet cameras would go to Leanne, so we know when there's activity there and can go back and look at that activity. I know,
Didn't
kind of
you
cool.
start with coming back to us?
Well, he has to start with something. He has to bring something forward. So this is for cameras, which is not the cybersecurity guy that does our internet stuff. This is it's a totally different guy that works with the same municipalities that's doing cameras out there. So I gotta get him information. He wants to see pictures of
This is not Chris Sanborn.
no, but Chris recommended him. So, and Chris has got some pretty definite ideas on when we offer internet, whether it's gonna be just for meetings, here in this town hall, he wants to be very careful about keeping the servers separate, so if we're gonna be doing it on a regular basis where anyone can access it, that we might wanna break it off. Keep it separate for town hall here, community building, then being cautious of how people might be able to hack into our regular town system on the same platform, which is how it is right now.
So would we have to have internet over here, a separate?
We would have to decide that. We can keep it the way it is. And then when we leave the building and meetings and the town office is closed, then the internet is off.
Okay, Susan,
Yep,
I'd like to make a suggestion.
yep.
I'd like to suggest that you talk with the supplementary of Buckfield. They have open Wi-Fi for anyone who comes by.
But how do you wanna do that?
Why would you want to do that? Well, I'm thinking, maybe you should talk to some of the other towns that actually do offer Wi-Fi and see how they're.
Actually, Chris works for a ton of towns and handles all their
Okay,
Wi-Fi.
you know, I mean,
Because, I mean, I'm just saying, if we offered free Wi-Fi out of this building, then you can expect a lot of cars parked here on a regular basis. If that's what we wanna do, we have to just decide that whether we wanna break it
yeah, I
apart
mean,
from
we've had
our,
free Wi-Fi for how many years now? 5 years, maybe? More than that? I don't see. that
can
we
someone
have
sit out
that
here and
many
access
cars.
Wi-Fi?
People do, they do, not every day, but.
I'm not a huge lot.
Things that one, to break into you. Down records.
So when you talk about cameras, are you talking about setting cameras in the town hall?
They're not.
We're talking about having like a camera near our dumpsters, near our town hall to watch if there's any vandalism or
shed.
breaks in, the salt shed, over here off this building, just to protect our stuff.
Yeah, you could figure out how to use it.
What's that?
Yeah.
The town beach, yep, town beach, right?
Yeah,
Town
Now,
beach.
is that,
well,
is
no
the,
internet up
the
there.
equipment, we
No, it's
spend
not.
all the money on equipment to have cameras up at the salt shed. Is that equipment no longer usable? I mean, we've never really used it.
I don't even know what you have for the salt shed. I didn't even know you had
Yeah,
equipment.
Dave Bowen set it up. Oh, yeah. We have camera
Thought people were
systems.
stealing
They
seats.
never set it up right.
Yeah, it didn't work very long.
Well, I'm gonna talk to this liaison that Chris works with that sets up that portion, so I'll have a lot more information next week.
What about, there's no internet at the beach?
Right, it would be a cellular
It was-
camera.
It was, yeah. I don't think that's a good.
Hmm?
I don't.
Skinny dipping.
I think that it's seasonal on any, with them, I mean, we need to watch the beach in the winter.
No.
It'd just be a season.
I mean, there's gonna be nothing's going to be perfect. We can just say, forget it, let's not care, but we do care. We're worried about the beach. We've had issues before. Our outhouse has been burned. We've had a lot of vandalism. We can at least start being
Yeah, but
proactive
you're gonna be
instead of,
taping kids and, I don't know. You're gonna be taping little kids running around and.
we're not gonna make it live on Facebook. But if we have an incident where the picnic tables are burned, or there's a big giant fire out there, or somebody assaults somebody, it would be nice to have,
Porta potty,
Yeah. You just want
that's
like-
even worse.
Well,
No.
not in the porta potty.
yeah, not in it.
Preferably not.
Just a question.
You take your kids into Walmart, you're on camera, you go,
Yeah.
you're on camera.
Yeah, but
You know,
you could-
you drive down Center Street, you're on camera.
my babies used to run around.
Well, live in the country.
I remember years
Maybe
ago,
Yeah.
we had a game camera set up at the salt shed up there.
They still-
And one of the contractors there, I'm not saying no names, moved it. And then it was erased, everything on there was erased. So that ain't no good.
You can put them in those little lock boxes.
Don't
How
Yeah.
come you don't say we can't touch them?
Those can be shot too.
Yeah.
How could the,
We
did
did,
they get the same, don't you already have?
Well, they get stuff.
we did.
See, they done one
They did, somebody took it down.
It's uh,
They used to be hooked to the laptop in the town office. And we could never, it worked for a little bit and then we couldn't figure out how to get it to work again, and now I don't know. I think the laptop.
I mean, we might not move forward, but at least we'll have the information and
Uh-huh.
we can start protecting our assets. I unfortunately think there's gonna be more crime happening and people looking for things to steal, and protecting the towns.
Might be easy, might be cheaper to get game cameras. Come right up.
We'll see what he recommends, yeah. They have cellular game cameras that will communicate, so we'll see what he's doing with other towns. I bet we'll be surprised. There's probably a lot of towns with cameras that we're not aware of.
I always lie and say this camera's everywhere.
There's probably not a lot of towns with cameras that you're not aware of, because towns are aware of the fact that you're supposed to put signage saying that, you know,
Right,
that this, you're under surveillance, or smile, you're on camera, or something.
Maybe we could just put the signs.
put the signs, yeah. Okay, the next one is curbside collection contract.
Thanks for showing up.
yep, see it.
Thank you. Good night. So Archie sent a contract. It is more than 3%. We've got legal information from MMA regarding that. Correct? Would you like to, I know you emailed it to us.
For tipping.
What's that?
3% was for tipping. Yeah, after you guys said maybe we should talk about it some more, I sent it to MMA, the original contract. And they said, yeah, it says right in the contract, you guys can renegotiate or extend it with, as long as everyone agrees,
2 years.
yeah, if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Archie said, if it goes out to bid, it's gonna be way more.
So he's threatening us with a higher price. Correct.
He's just letting us know.
Did you vote for the last meeting? We were on?
Nobody voted.
Well,
yes, you
Nobody
did.
bidded.
We did.
You
on it,
voted.
put it out
You
there.
voted. Then I called Archie to let him know it's going out to bid, and he said the contract says if we all agree, we can extend it with
That's true.
changes. And so I sent a message to these guys and they said, so I sent it to MMA and put it back on the agenda, just to make sure before I put it out to bid, what do you wanna do?
I think they're doing awesome.
Voted, put it out there.
Well, I'm not saying that. I just thought the contract was clear that if it was more than 3% increase, that
Tipping,
we were supposed to go out to bid.
the tipping. In the contract, it says the tipping may vary 3 to 4%
For the 2-year option,
of the whole contract.
Increase 19%. So maybe $2 to 98,
Well,
that was last year,
a couple of times throughout the 3 years.
19.51%. The tip would be,
I don't know if you need to tipping.
The
He has to get rid of the trash somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure that. For the.
Oh, yeah, sure.
2023.
And, going down to MWAC, I think he told me, because I had spoken with him, I think he said it was almost 135, or was it close to 150 down to MWAC, which is where the, Buckfield and Sumner taking their from. So the cheapest option that is available to us is still going up to the,
Waste management.
yeah, up to Norwich Walk.
So that's just tipping.
Mhm.
At this point, the secret is what his 4-year contract increase to the public to see what that increase is proposed.
We don't know what he's,
Yeah, for the 2-year extension we do, but we shouldn't tell anybody if it's going out to bid, because then everybody will know, well,
That's right.
And that's why about 2 weeks ago, you voted to put it out today, we would release that information, which makes sense. But I don't understand why it's going back up for discussion when you already voted to put it out to bid, and we haven't done it.
Because it was a bad idea in the first place.
But that's a matter of opinion.
It sure is.
How do you know that other people didn't?
You're assuming it's a bad idea based on the way it always has been. Because it's been this way for 20 years. And you're not willing to get negotiate with anyone else.
So you don't have-
Bob was transparent.
then 20 years, but no one else bids, he's the only bidder.
well, I don't think we have anything to, do we have the information to even do a bid? Do we know how many miles and how many
Yeah.
stops, and we have all that?
I'm
We
just,
put it out to bid 3 years ago.
Interested in bidding, it bid when it goes out to bid. No one else bids, Archie's the only bidder. Then, well, that's what's he threatening to go up by?
then
What's
it's,
the number?
then it's gonna be,
He's threatening if it goes out to bid, it's gonna double what he's telling you that we don't know.
When they say that we're not gonna get any other bids, but yet if we do that, he's gonna raise his price.
What's he gonna raise it, 25,000? Instead of 20?
He
then it's
just
gonna
said
be
it's
some,
gonna cost more than. what
then he's
it
gonna be
is.
some pissed off people.
Well,
Piss off people for what? We're required by a contract, unless we go around the system, to put this back out to bid every
Say-
3 years,
okay,
for the
say-
2-year.
Okay, say if we. Say if we extended his contract, we got now for 2 more years,
Yeah,
right, at this price. Then we put it out for bid, nobody bids on it, and actually goes up.
Well, and this is.
That's
what
2
we've had
years.
Every 5 years,
And it's not-
because we've had this extension clause in our contract, every 5 years we put it out to bid. And how many bids did we have the last time?
I understand we didn't have any bids.
How many bids did we have the time before that? Right, and probably the time before that as well.
What was that, Ken?
He has a contract here with his bid proposals, in the 4th year on this bid, he proposed not to go up. But now he proposes to go up by an amount that's not open to the public. So this is
Did
what
you
he put
notice
in for a
anything else
bid.
going up?
This is what he put in for a bid, when he put in for the 3-year contract with a 2-year extension. He put in for that, he doesn't want to hold, he broke contract.
I sent it to MMA. I sent everything to MMA. They said we can extend it for 2 years if everyone agrees, both parties agree.
Well, it says here in what was it, article or section 16 on the contract, says the contract awarded herein under will be renewed or extended, will, not shall or might be, but will be renewed or extended for a period of 2 years upon such terms and conditions as may be mutually agreed upon by municipal officers and the contractor, providing the contractor has fulfilled all terms and conditions of the previous contract. Period.
All terms and conditions of the previous contract are on this paper right here, not the recent letter that he sent you. This is the previous contract. And the numbers, I'm sure, this will also be sent to on the web
Yeah.
that I don't know of. No one knows, maybe 3 or 4 people.
She okay?
Left her stove on.
Oh, my God.
She left her stove on?
It's
I'll say she just left in extreme hurry.
$45,717.24 for hauling fees. On his contract that he signed with you 3 years ago.
For the fourth year.
Fourth year. So, yes, you read it right. And here's a contract he signed.
Mhm.
I only asked him because I didn't want to put it out to bid and then have them change their mind afterwards.
So you can vote not to put it out to bid, give it to Archie's for an undisclosed amount.
Well, if the board should vote to not put it out to bid, then there's no reason not to disclose it because it's not going out to bid. Am I right?
But he already gave us a price for year 4 when he did his 3-year deal. And so what he's just given us is actually something very different with a large increase. And so he broke the contract he gave us for year 4, but he's saying that that doesn't matter because you guys can just override the contract.
He said,
No, actually, the contract says that.
contract says to follow what you sign. This is what you sign.
This is the amount on that.
There's no amount on this contract that you signed 3 years ago. For the 4th and 5th year.
If the amount isn't the same, the contract is null and void.
It's going up on the 5th year.
Yeah. Fourth year, he had no increase.
Right.
You get a contract with him for 5 years. He broke the 4th year and 5th year. Unless he wants to go down, but. I don't understand why he's not willing to let it go in and just bid what it's told you. And allow a fair competition to play out. He could be the only bidder.
You're bad.
Well, let's see,
That was quick.
She must have reached somebody at the house.
The phone.
you see what happens.
I'm sorry. Not today.
There are other options out there, even though I'm happy with Archie's, but there are other waste companies.
Might come in the lowest bid
You might be
on the
able to.
next 3-year contract. He might be the only bid. But it's not fair to the town not to put it out there.
Bless
You
you.
wanna do what's fair and equitable for the town? You wanna spend as less money as possible? You won't know until you put it out to bid.
We've done it for BIM too. I remember raising the fees for him back along,
The extra
but
2 years.
even though he said.
One of the things that I think most everybody's noticed is that the price of absolutely everything has gone up. And you know, even if somebody is a lowly trash hauler, they deserve to make a living wage. And a
Absolutely.
living wage ain't cheap nowadays.
No, it sure isn't.
So the new competitor down the road has the right to earn a living and have free competition. This is America. So Gregory's, Waste Management, Andy Valley, ABC, they're all in business, do the same thing. When you go buy a car, you would pay him what you want the first time they ask, because he has a right to be in business. Well, you shop around.
I'm not going to ask on that question.
Well, you gotta protect the town's assets. You voted to put it to bid, he signed a 5-year contract, he is not meeting the money that he wrote on 4th year on the 5-year contract. That's not the number that I'm assuming you have there, or you wouldn't, there wouldn't be a debate.
So does that make the contract null and void? It's not abiding by the contract?
No, I sent it to MMA legal, it's fine.
you know, we can still agree with them to.
We have to agree that it's gonna go round, that we're gonna agree to pay a higher price. If the select board does, I guess is what MMA said.
It's between the select board and the contractor, whether or not to.
So Archie was threatening him to go up even higher if he has to bid. Higher than the number they
Then
gave.
most any contract.
So is that fear and intimidation?
No, he just told me that, he said you're gonna spend more money if it goes up to bid. He didn't.
How can you spend on that? He could put in the bid for the same number he just asked you. Unless
He
you
meant
think
for
it's
the-
too high.
Maybe he meant for the whole 5 years, you know, I don't know.
If he thinks it's too high.
If we put it up to bid, he don't have to keep it that same number.
No, you don't. You don't.
Or
You can go
higher.
up. You can go down.
And he might bid 50,000 and he'd be the only guy.
You can change that bid.
Or you have the right to refuse it, but.
So if he went up to 50,000, we'd be, paying a lot more than if we accepted the 2 years.
But we could also get a bid from ABC that's,
I know I sent the big package to all the little.
So is he going up the 19%, the tipping fees went up in a year? Is he going up 3%? Is he going up? I've got no idea. But I'm assuming it's gonna be a good sized number.
Well, we wouldn't be having a conversation.
You know, but that's a secret. But I'm on the budget committee too. So I'll know that number at some point, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll know how responsible us select board is gonna be in this situation, whether it's a bid, you know, or not a bid. Was voted bid.
If he bids more, say if he bids to 50,000 and there's no other bidders, we can't really reject it.
no,
Because there won't be nobody to haul trash.
That's 50,000. That's 4,000, that's 5,000 more than what he put here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fair competition, if he's the only bidder and he comes in with a $50,000 bid. When you put it out to bid and he's the only bidder, then you're gonna take 60,000. That's fair. But what it isn't fair is not putting it out to bid and allow other people to bid on it. Because his contract is broken because of the.
It's a gamble. Mhm.
But it's a threat.
But do you think people are gonna be happy if we put it up to bid and he bids 50,000 when we could have had him for 47?
Are they gonna?
If you could have had it for 47. Is that his price?
I think a lot of people don't actually give a care one way or another, they just want to get the cash.
Well, that's part of the problem in this town, that people don't
Okay, let's put it up to bid then.
but they don't care because they come to a select board meeting, they hear that it's going out to bid, and then they find out through the grapevine that it's not going out to bid. And it makes you think there's backroom deals going on after you make phone calls to the guy that has the contract. You didn't call anyone else as a competitor.
I thought the town was one up to bid. Why? Why?
That's why people don't get involved in this stuff, I can tell you that.
What did you
because they
say,
think There's
Dan?
something going on behind the scenes.
I called Archie to let him know that you voted to put it out to bid.
I just wanna know why you called and told him. Is it his business that he knows?
Because he sent us the,
Did you have a deadline that you had
yes,
aimed for him?
because we have to budget for this.
Yeah, so that's important to get it out.
Right. But by calling him and telling you, oh, now the town's decided they're gonna put it out to bid. That's just kinda, I'll call it
Well,
poking
it
bear.
costs you a lot more if you put it out to bid, he says. To me, that's correct. Don't mess with me,
Yeah.
or I'll go up even higher when I.
No, he was okay with it, he just made that little comment to me that it's gonna
You
cost
might
more.
know what that is.
And he,
You know, other people, I have been called by somebody who basically said, oh my God, it's gonna cost so much more if you go out to bid. So, you know, and it was not Archie's who called me up and said that.
so it was someone from another trash people, because how else would they know? that was gonna cost a lot more.
Maybe it was somebody who was at the meeting, our meeting, 2 weeks ago.
There was 3 of us here.
No, there was more than
There was
3.
quite a few people who didn't know.
Not when we talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty up to do. I usually,
I disagree, but yeah, it's okay. Let's put it out to bid.
make a motion.
Or don't.
We already made a
No,
motion.
It's already, it's already.
No, last year,
It is what it is, so.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we
Do
voted.
you want
for
to
it to bid.
extend the deadline a little bit? Because we had February 15th and we put it off for 2 weeks.
The sand bid went out, you voted for the bid for February 15th, that went out. So I would think you'd want to extend this bid 2 weeks.
2
before
weeks.
February 15th, to give these contractors the same amount of time as you would sand it.
So do you want to just motion to extend the deadline for the curbside pickup
Bid.
bids?
I make a motion that we extend the bid 2 weeks for the curbside pickup. Which is the end of February, right?
It will probably be the first meeting in March.
Yeah, because 29th, we have a leap year day this year.
Yeah.
So it'll be like March 1st, from the 15th. So you figure 14 days is the 29th.
The leap years, usually March and April have the same dates all around, but not on the leap year.
But if it was gonna be February 15th, don't we want to do February 29th would be 2 weeks?
Yeah,
but
February
you're not-
29th would be exactly,
But they're not meeting on that,
but we want the bid in before you meet, right? So you can.
Supposed to come in, it's supposed to come in, bids come in the night of the select board meeting,
Oh, yeah.
and then we cut open the envelopes at the meeting.
It would be the 7th.
It'll be the 7th of March.
All right, was there a second to that motion?
I second it. All in favor?
All in favor? Sorry. Ozone.
Opposed?
We will see.
Okay, open session, and Leanne, I know you have something you want
I want one too.
for open sessions.
So there's
I
another
want one too.
lien that was never discharged from 2000. They called today. So I got the quit claim deed ready. I sent it to him. He reviewed it. The original lien's attached.
From 2000, 24 years ago?
Yeah, there's all kinds of them. That's when Kathy Hutchins left and Monica came and, well, other people too.
Wow.
We've all kinds of them.
Bring it up, didn't we?
I don't.
Do we need to
remember
take a-
anything about road report.
Do we need to take a, what's that?
Road
About
report.
road report?
We discussed that there was, Vim didn't submit one, and that the letters, a couple of complaints came in.
Good, we didn't read this one.
She mentioned it.
I did, I
Did-
mentioned
you
it,
did?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Said Julia Sampson said something
Oh,
about a
okay.
tree being in the ditch,
Well,
right? Isn't that what
Sorry.
you
Do we
said?
know any, we don't have an update on that.
It was given to Ben.
I haven't heard nothing.
Do we need to make a motion to dismiss this? I'd like to make a motion to dismiss this lien from the year 2000. Do
Charge.
I need to name the family? Or the property
Um,
owner?
It's the new property, it's being sold, so the quit claim goes to the new property owner.
Okay. So the inhabitants of municipality, okay,
All in favor?
all in favor? All opposed?
Somebody going to witness their signatures. I didn't bring my notary. I have more things too.
Yep, you said you had a few things.
Do you want to allow Al Borzelli to use the hall on March 16th, and do you want to charge or require insurance?
Mhm. Yep,
Or B?
Does he charge?
I have
Don't
no
think
idea.
Is
so.
it open to the public? So
Do we have witness?
it's a public service, because he's
Mhm.
educating about bees, but I think he has to have insurance.
Mhm.
Lee, what do you think? I think,
Is it even a question?
We could do it, I guess.
I don't think we should charge him for the hall.
No. Sure not. But as far as insurance goes, I mean, did we not?
Right,
decide
yeah.
That everybody would be required to
Right,
have insurance? Yes, we did.
Mhm.
At least.
Yep, so we waived the
Either
rental
that
fee.
or I somehow missed the whole first half of the meeting.
Because
Don't know what
he's
happened.
providing a community service about bees and honey and not charging.
But it's a business.
So it's open to the
No,
public.
it's not.
He,
His business.
no, he didn't, no, he doesn't do the bee business anymore.
He's retired and he was just telling me today at lunch that he is teaching at.
Yep, Mountain
the
Valley.
High school and up at Mountain Valley School. He has half a dozen different schools. He's just going and teaching kids about bees.
Pollination and stuff, so he
Yeah.
doesn't have a business, they're not selling anymore, they're
No,
not
no, no.
making bees anymore.
He's way retired.
So this would be the case that he could bring in his homeowner's policy.
Yeah.
Presumably.
Yeah.
His homeowner's policy may or may not cover.
If it doesn't need to do that $75.
That's right.
But we waived the rental fee.
I'm scared now.
I
What
know,
are you scared
he's
of?
not bringing bees though, right?
The town getting sued for $2 million or something.
Yeah, well,
No, we still gotta have insurance.
You said that's
I
why
don't
there's
know.
insurance. What are you scared of?
I know, but you guys never required it before.
Huh?
Yeah, we're gonna.
And
We're
so,
gonna now.
And we've been lucky, I guess.
A new law. Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, I mean. Times change.
2024.
Times change, policies change. I mean,
It's been the policy.
but what is it? But
It's just that.
It was a selective policy.
Slide.
Yeah, we
Right.
just let it slide.
I always had to have it. And we goes, let's let Sue free.
So then you always have.
I've always had. it. Okay, do we have more for open
I need a
session?
motion on the Al Borzelli thing.
I make a motion that we do not charge Al. We waive the fee to use the hall, but he will need to have insurance. All in favor? All opposed?
I have one. Oxford County mitigation plan update. They just need signatures that you're okay with accepting their changes. I know we went through this before. We saw their new plan, but they didn't send it to me again, so I don't have it with me. Oh, I haven't sent it.
Only one page to sign.
Yeah, it's just information.
Is there something else for open session?
Yeah, I got something.
So,
I just want to mention one more thing when it's my turn.
Go ahead.
Well, I know Dan and I attended the warming center training. I don't know if you want that on a future agenda, or do you want to talk about it, or did you go to yours?
I did not, I didn't even know when it was.
I sent you the. Yeah, I sent you the form to sign up. There's more coming up, but
yeah, I think that'd be very informational for a lot of folks. Dan La Rochelle, right, Dan?
yeah, he's on there. I didn't, do you
Yeah.
want to put it on an agenda, or do you want to discuss
I would,
it?
I would love to have him as our EMS talk about what's required and how other communities do it. I think that'd be great. What do you guys think?
Also, if I can.
Yep,
I talked to Dan, I don't know if I copied you guys too. I went over to, somebody came and dropped off some information on substance abuse. And said you could go over to Oxford County and get Narcan and all kinds of stuff for free. So I went over, they gave me a whole case. I got some for my daughter, I got some for me. Gave me a whole case, it's at the town office.
Narcan?
Yeah,
so we need to know how to use it though.
right, and I was talking to Dan about maybe holding, even if it's just for employees, can be the public, just holding a little training on the AED
Narcan
and
workshop?
Narcan administration,
Aid,
AED, the part.
oh, the defibrillator.
Yeah, we should all be aware of how to use.
Yeah, well, you know, Heather Bolin gave a workshop a while back, and I know those guys are planning on moving, but they haven't moved yet. We might be able to get Heather to come in and give that workshop.
Dan's willing to.
Dan's willing to though.
Okay?
Yeah.
Be nice to have CPR.
But it's Dan's area, cause he's emergency management.
That would be awesome if Dan would do that. Not at a select board meeting.
No,
How many years ago was that? It's quite a few years ago.
Quite well.
But like a,
No, I
like a
can't
Monday
keep
night or a
track.
Tuesday night. If he was
Some people
available,
remember every-
I don't know if he's still listening or not. He said he would be willing to.
yeah, like at 6:30, so if teachers wanted to go and learn about. Was there a lot of Narcan available? Is that something we'd be able to pass out for the,
I don't feel right about advertising it.
right, but the
I know
employees
it's
and
needed.
committee members, could we do?
Whoever you.
Yeah, I think that our committee members should have an opportunity to learn about it if they want to attend and,
There's been
And
several
this-
deaths
select
in
board.
this area.
we're very aware, right in our own bathroom at Big Apple.
I keep it on me all the time now.
Do we need to vote on letting him
It's
do
not-
that? Or you can ask him and we can talk about it.
He's in the house.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Hi, Dan.
What the other thing was.
Can we
Hi.
talk to Dan for a second? Would you be willing to do a class like on a Monday night or a Tuesday night or whatever night you were available for the select board and committee members that were interested in the learning about how to administer Narcan and the AED device?
Yeah, I had a conversation with Leanne. It was more of an email, and I think you may have all gotten the email too, and I wasn't
Okay.
sure as to specifics whether you wanted to be certified, which would, that would be under a different entity as like American Heart Association, or you just wanted some general information on how to use the AED, if there was a need for it, and Narcan's pretty easy, it's just a nasal administration. But if you're interested in that and or it depends on what you do want to learn. As far as the equipment you have, you probably should know how to use it.
Yes,
And I think the battery was dead last year, wasn't it? Was that replaced, Leanne?
Yep. And I
Okay.
forgot to say the guy at the substance abuse place said he would offer to come over and train on the Narcan too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's up to you people. I mean, I have
Dan.
the knowledge base for all of it, so it's whatever you choose. If you want me to help, I'm willing to help. The other thing was the warming center and the cooling center, Leanne, that was, I know you gathered some information about that. I'm not sure how much you shared with your select board, but that's a big creature. That's a lot of things entailed as far as getting one officially up and running. And I think I shared that information in an email with you too, but so I'm not sure Leanne, what you were thinking in the select board thing as far as setting something officially up. But as far as the people coming in and cooking some foods and getting the town folks when you're there coming in for warming, that's all fine and dandy. But when you get into an official warming cooling center, it involves a lot of people and a lot of other things. I put in the email. You can take a peek.
Yeah, I just asked them if they wanted it on like the next agenda and they agreed just to discuss it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good. Nice.
We'd like to talk about a cooling center because we could really use some hot weather.
Great. Thanks.
And Kathy, you have something for open session? Thank you, Dan.
Yep, I think we need another letter sent out. Leanne, you got these here sent out to different ones for
For blocking the road,
blocking the road and all that.
blocking for the,
I went down 219 today and Doreen and them are blocking.
You know, we sent them a letter last year.
We did, but it's out in the road now.
Well, the state of DOT told us
we were
do
talking about
something about it.
the blocking the road,
At the end of that door, yeah.
the driveways coming out into the road.
Right now, it's in the road right now, and if we have another storm, say a foot or so, it's gonna be out in the road more. You must have noticed it coming.
Yeah, I remember,
White line, next time we'll be over the yellow coming down.
Yeah, it's over the white line now at the edge.
Right, the late last year.
Mhm.
DOT.
Oh,
So it's
really?
her snowbank? Or something she
Yeah, they
parked there?
plow, so it like
When
points out into the road.
when they plowed it, and
So,
and
so it's actually, not, nature flowing down out of the driveway, it's where they're plowing. Oh, yeah, that's totally,
So
they gotta
here,
do something about that right off.
send a letter.
Hell, yeah,
yeah, it's in the road right now.
absolutely.
I don't know if they got a tractor or.
Well, that should be that.
I
Sure, I
was
think
gonna
that's.
say, I was surprised Ben had already complained, because that's gonna be kind of hard on his small roads.
Well, it's hard on the plow drivers and, you know, it is a state road too.
Well, they got the same thing down somewhere at the beginning of Bonnie Road. I don't know
I
why
know where that is.
Ben's crew just don't take the wing and, you know, push it over. But they're going around it and that's coming out into the road too. I don't know, but that one on 219 is dangerous because it's right on top of the hill and right now we got to go out around it a little bit.
Is that Cozy Kennels?
He has a tractor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't see how.
I don't know why you don't just pull it up. I don't know.
Would there be a reason why we wouldn't just, does she have email that we couldn't email her to?
Last year, we sent a letter because DOT was involved and we told them next time they would be charged for the services to remove the snow.
I'm surprised DOT ain't seen it yet. No.
Well, they only contacted us because someone complained because they almost hit it.
No.
And, you know, it almost caused an accident.
And you said it's at the top of that hill, so it's really not, to say the least, not safe, because you can't. Oh, that's a great
Just
idea.
send last year's letter and put a cross through the date and just write the new date.
Or, we sent this last year, same applies.
Type it different.
They probably figured nothing happened last year, nothing's gonna happen this year.
Bim didn't. And he didn't charge him, but he said next time there's gonna be a charge.
I'm gonna pay attention on the way,
You
because I'm gonna
watch.
go right by there.
You look going home.
Wait, see, I didn't go that way. I went the back way and up through Pratt Hill, so I could wave to all the people that were complaining,
Go that way.
See how bad Pratt Hill really is.
right? Which, by the way, I mean, it's got some snow on it and it was already bumpy beforehand, but my car made it up fine. It's not awesome,
I had
but
a hard time that storm because he had one lane plowed and I was going down, this lane
yeah.
got a strip,
Yeah.
I was scared to death.
Well, I called him immediately because the right said smoother, but this, from what Bim said, one of the trucks got stuck, so they finally got that out, which is why he went down with the smaller truck, so. But there were complaints that came in that said there's no crew, the guys are all hunting. I'm like, what? They're not out hunting. They're all out in trucks today. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
You're fine. Such a.
And even though I explained everything and said, look, he's on your road right now, they went right to Facebook.
Did you see the comment on Facebook? It was, Linda Lucas Lee or whatever it is. She was.
It's all right.
She had to go to work at 8:30, that was Sunday night.
Yeah, right.
Vinny commented back to her and said, where do you live? I'll make sure that you're out, you can get out.
So he was ready
So
to
it
go
was
and
right
pop
there.
out and say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took a while for her to get back to him though.
Yeah,
He
it
said,
did, but
yeah.
at least, I mean.
Right.
It's got a service when you get than that. She
Right,
put it up on
right.
Facebook, and within 2 seconds, he says, oh, I got guys down there now. It's like,
Our road is
Yeah.
better than you town around.
Yeah, it is.
Right,
I went to
Yeah, yeah.
Buckfield, I went to Buckfield yesterday and
Oh, my God. I went to, I
Right.
drove down to Buckfield this, I mean, the roads were complete, well, tar, not the back roads, but the tar roads were bare. And I'd gone out to Canton to get gas and then all the way up this way and all the way down to Buckfield. When I hit the Buckfield line, all of a sudden I'm driving on, it wasn't even slushy snow. It was
Tire
like
tracks.
snow.
snowpack, yeah,
Snowpack with tire tracks. Unreal.
yeah.
we get a road report every day when Ian goes to eat from school. She
Just
says,
keep
but
hearing
she needs to get
something.
behind where him go park. She said.
Did she go Perry Road?
No, it goes down the street.
Because Buckfield doesn't, they don't plow. And you know,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
years ago, I went to one of these classes for the plow truck driver classes. Why I went for the town, I don't remember, but went to one of these plow truck driver classes. One of the things they used to say is you put your salt down and then you scrape. Just keep scraping. And evidently they are trying to save money on their cutting blades, cutting edges, because they don't scrape. No, they put,
Yeah.
they put salt down, for
did you
sure.
listen in on that meeting last night?
What?
Did you listen in on that meeting last night?
No,
Buckfield?
no,
Mhm.
just last night, it's Tuesday, isn't it?
Maybe it was Tuesday.
No, I didn't. Why, did you go to-
I did, yeah.
No, okay, well, I have to look it up on Facebook. I haven't been getting, they used to get updates whenever Buckfield went live.
They're going up on everything.
Of course they.
all right, so,
Everybody is, which is why.
New
which is why I
business.
did not vote to put that.
Yeah.
new business newsletter deadline is January 15th, and the select board has the letter done with one change. Lee, did you see any changes on the letter?
I was a little surprised that you didn't mention that we opened the town hall, but you did say a whole bunch of like neighbors helping neighbors kind of stuff.
Well, there was a lot of people on Facebook talking about how people cleared their driveways, and somebody showed up, and I know that Kathy and several people in our area had provided places for people to stay that had no generator and no electricity, and so I was just trying to cover all of our bases.
No, otherwise, you know, I noticed that, but otherwise, I don't have any changes.
Just add Steve to help.
Yeah,
him in.
and Steve, yep,
Just add Steve.
up
Help him-
top, he helped
help him
move
bring
stuff
it
from both
From
areas.
here back over there.
I'd be happy to put down here that,
He did say Steve and his team did a good job of with the officer.
yeah. Okay, I will make those changes, and I can happily put warming center in there if you want me to. I put making meals,
I
but I
wouldn't
was
say
just trying
warming
to,
center.
oh, no, can't say that.
Call it something else.
Community gathering.
Or you could say that the town hall was open to 50 people or. I don't care, yeah, I don't actually care.
No,
Don't say
not
anything.
shelter.
It's fine.
We didn't meet the requirements for that, so we have to be very cautious.
Charging.
Charging.
Yes,
Okay.
keep it at that. Cause there's all kinds of requirements.
There's another sticky.
Mm.
Yep,
Do
So-
that again, we're gonna require insurance.
No, but you have to have 2 people here all the time. You have to have first aid kits, you have to have all this
Yeah,
stuff.
again, we want to build
Mhm,
town function.
mhm.
The
Okay.
town don't have to.
So election,
if it's
next,
a town.
next on the agenda is the election order of municipal officials.
Yeah, this is just calling it an election for June 11th, I think it is.
Yes,
It should say right on there.
I believe so.
Yep, June 11th, 8/8. And I can go ahead and
So
sign
are
this.
you going, are you going to say, are you going to send this to Lenny by email?
I am. Which will make it easier for her. Because she can cut and paste it.
Okay.
Do you have another suggestion?
No, I think it always goes by email. I'm just
Yeah.
asking you if you were gonna take care of it.
Yep, absolutely. Do I need to make a motion that we accept the municipal officers ordered?
Might as well. I'm not sure what the answer is, but might as well.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept this order for municipal officers' orders and for a secret ballot election, which will be on June 11th. 8/8,
This is gonna,
all in favor? And community concepts, letter of support. Is this a budget request?
No, it's.
No, it's it is to show that we appreciate their efforts in our neck of the woods. So that
And we
can
do.
draw down monies from other sources.
Yep,
That's their template and that's on our letter.
we used to do this for
This is all the official stuff, right?
Meals on Wheels. Do I need to make a motion that the town of Hartford sign the letter of support for community concepts?
Thank you.
Okay, I make a motion that the town of Hartford Select Board support community concepts in their efforts in fundraising and providing more and more services to our community. All in favor?
I'll just listen to the tape after. I'll just listen to it again to get all the words.
Appointments and resignations. Any?
No resignation.
Lots of relief.
So I know I got an email from Lenny saying that she's missed the first two planning boards, but she is planning on attending the next one. So just because she just got on there, I want to make sure that,
oh, yeah.
okay. All right, and any training coming up that we need to know about, Leanne?
Nope, Jalen's gonna take a free motor vehicle course next Wednesday. We almost signed up for election one, but it was town meetings, not, the state ones is more complicated than town meetings, so we decided not to do that one.
Gotcha. All right, any other correspondence? Is there anything else from the crew? Leanne? No, ladies? All right, I would like to call this meeting adjourned. At
You gonna give me a ride?
9:30. I can do that.
Go to Bailey's and drop it off.
Lenny wasn't on here.